The early 2000s were a very weird time for the comic book genre. After the colossal disaster that was Batman and Robin, the genre, much like the bat suit ripe with nipples that ruined it, had been put to rest in a storage facility somewhere on the Warner Brothers lot. In the year 2000, one film changed all of that: X-Men. Making over $280 million worldwide and scoring an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes, the film helped give birth to the modern era of comic book cinema. I mean, theme park movies. I'm fucking sorry, Marty. Please let my family go. However, there was one film that came out between the year 2000 and the birth of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2008 that has always fascinated me. And no, it's not Ang Lee's really fucking weird Hulk movie. The film in question, of course, is 2003's Daredevil, starring Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner, Michael Clarke Duncan, Green Filters, and Colin Farrell. Over the last few weeks, I have noticed a weird obsession with the 2003 adaptation of The Man Without Fear, and I would be lying if I suggested this video was not inspired by this strange cultural resurgence. With the hype for the film oddly high again, I went back and watched 2003's Daredevil, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you, it's not as bad as you remember. I absolutely love Daredevil. I love the comics, so much so that I went out and purchased the character's first ever comic book appearance. I love the Netflix show, you can check out my videos on them here. I constantly Google Daredevil video game expecting something new to pop up. Truth in the matter is, I love The Man Without Fear. This admiration for the character almost certainly stems from the fact that I was exposed to this movie at such a young age. Do you guys remember the PSP? I had the film on UMD, and I probably watched the thing 30 or 40 times when I was growing up. Watching the 2003 film from the perspective of a 22-year-old man who has seen the genre he loves grow and evolve far beyond his wildest imagination was certainly an experience. The movie is, in pretty much every single way, a cultural relic. Everything about it, from the color grading, the leather costumes, all the way to the use of not one, but two Evanescence songs. Oh my god! It all feels so early 2000s. If someone were to ask me what modern feature film best represents the culture of 2003, I'm saying Daredevil, plain and fucking simple. In retrospect, I think you kinda have to commend 2003's Daredevil in a certain way. Not many, if any, comic book movies would be ballsy enough to open on a shot of the titular hero bleeding whilst curled around the cross on the roof of a goddamn cathedral. I mean, that really is the most Daredevil way to open the Daredevil movie, is it not?
Before justice finds you.
Rewatching Daredevil in the year 2020 opened my eyes to just how metal and edgy this film really is, or at least how metal and edgy it's trying to be. It's a weird movie in the sense that it's clearly dark and a little intense, but when you really look at the sequences with the particularly dark moments, nothing edgy is really happening. Take the sequence in which Daredevil confronts the sexual assailant, who, using the Kingpin's connections, gets away with a brutal crime. Yeah, that's a plotline in this movie. Edgy shit. Did Daredevil really need to let the train come past and chop him up like a nice fresh turkey? No! But again, I respect the shit out of it for treating sexual assailants how they really should be treated. Like fucking pathetic pieces of shit. Despite the movie's attempt to showcase itself as a serious and gritty crime film, there still is the obligatory early 2000s superhero suits up with epic music going on trope. Except this time the music is, you guessed it, metal. You can either insult this shit or you can just ride with it. And I'm gonna be completely honest here, riding with it is significantly more fun. It's a strange movie, no one's denying that, but it is a strange one that has its merits. In fact, I'd argue has an abundance of them. While everyone is quick to insult the playground scene, which, yeah, is still pretty fucking awful to watch, there are a handful of really cool aspects to this damn movie. Supporting the 2003 Daredevil movie is not the hill I expected to die on, but in 2020, fuck it. Why don't we talk about Colin Farrell's Bullseye, or Michael Clarke Duncan as Kingpin, or hell, even Ben Affleck as Daredevil? These three performances are so perfect within the context of this world. Every time Farrell is on screen, I question why this movie is not more beloved. He just oozes charisma to the point where I'm left scratching my head as to why they decided to give Elektra a spin-off instead of Bullseye. I'd watch the shit out of a feature film version of this sequence here. The great Michael Clarke Duncan eats up every single scene he's in. So much so that it frustrates the shit out of me that it takes 45 minutes to meet him. This dude is your main antagonist. He should be there from the get-go, or just don't put him in at all. Between Kingpin and Bullseye, the filmmakers had literal gold, but they constantly prioritized the wrong shit, i.e. the wonky relationship stuff with Daredevil and Elektra. Less of that and more of Michael Clarke Duncan snapping a dude's neck with his bare fucking hand. Holy shit, the early 2000s were fucking wild. It's no secret that I love Ben Affleck. I think he's the perfect Batman, and while I think Charlie Cox is the best Daredevil we'll ever see, Affleck does a pretty good job with what he's given here. Having seen this movie after rewatching Batman v Superman, I thought it was so cool to notice the nuances that Affleck decided to carry over from his performance as Daredevil into his turns as the Caped Crusader. I find Affleck's interpretation of Matt Murdock to be a more externally frustrated guy than Cox's, and I think given the ridiculousness of the movie he's in, it really works. While the whole film wants to achieve the edgy and metal vibe, I don't think any character perfects that aura more than Affleck's Daredevil. His depressing monologues and voiceovers give the movie a weird, almost crime noir overtone, and it's a vibe that I wish the film really went all in on, especially as they portray the Kingpin as a 1920s-esque mafioso. I really, genuinely fuck with these final lines from Ben Affleck's Daredevil.
Hell's Kitchen is my neighborhood. I prowl the rooftops and alleyways at night, watching from the darkness. Forever in darkness.
Watching the 2003 Daredevil movie in a post-Netflix Daredevil world was interesting. While the Netflix versions of these characters are certainly different, and in Elektra's case significantly better, I would argue that most of the characters aren't even comparable. Okay, but I know I just said that I wouldn't compare the characters, but let's be completely honest here. Colin Farrell's Bullseye is so much better than the Netflix version, it's not even fucking funny. As a simple comic book movie from the early 2000s, what can you really expect from Daredevil? Should it have been better? Yeah. Is it still a ridiculous way to spend 90 minutes or 2 hours depending on which version you want to watch? Of course. Is Coolio in the director's cut? Yeah. In a weird way, I kinda miss these comic book movies. While the MCU treats us to solid film after solid film, there is no modern Marvel film that is so distinctly its own thing like 2003's Daredevil. As a Daredevil fan, maybe I'm a little biased, but considering the fact that we're on the verge of widespread apocalypse, why can't I be nostalgic for the 2003 Daredevil film? Especially when it's a movie that's significantly better than I remembered.
A guardian devil.
Hi everyone, I'd just like to say a huge thank you for watching this week's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my little trip down memory lane regarding the 2003 Daredevil movie. I know I enjoyed re-watching it for the first time in what feels like a really long time. And yeah, I came away from it, in a weird way, kind of respecting it more than I ever really did. So that was a great takeaway from such a weird movie. So much green filter, it's ridiculous. Thank you again for watching, and until the next time, bye bye.